Hey everyone, this is Wobbly Wallaby, and today I'll give you tips on how to improve your game so you can enjoy My Hero Ultra Rumble. I had loved watching My Hero Academia, so I wanted to like this game too. This game can be very frustrating for people new to this game or to the Battle Royale genre like me. These 20 tips help me go from being annoyed with the game to really enjoying it. First is building good habits. You should definitely watch people's opening actions, and almost everyone I watch starts with getting loot and getting their GP shields early. Don't just watch highlights of people's videos, watch their whole match so you know what they do even during the quiet times. For many games that I play, I like to follow good players so I can build good habits early on. It's hard to break bad habits if you're used to playing suboptimally. Pay attention to how they aim, dodge, move, and use their skills. I'll put a link in the description to some of my favorite creators that I watch when learning this game. After you watch good people play, it's time to put theory into practice. I found playing right away on ranked or unranked wasn't a great way to practice. You can be in matches with many people who have played hours and hours more than you have, so it can be frustrating when they absolutely destroy you. So I would suggest this next tip. Practice against CPUs, and luckily there's 3 options to do that with easy, normal, and hard difficulty. It's extremely important to get used to your hotkeys, setting quirks, dealing with your items, and doing this quickly in an actual battle. You don't want to freak out when you've tried this for the first time in a real battle. Being able to set your quirk quickly was one of the most important things I practiced in these matches. If you go through the inventory, I find it's a bit slow, so the hotkey is a real lifesaver. The other great thing about the CPU modes is you still get progress and get points, so it's not like it's a complete waste of time. You will still make progress in the game, which is fantastic. In addition to practicing unlocked classes, I'd highly recommend you get familiar with popular meta classes which are locked. And this is where tip number 3 comes in, which is to borrow locked heroes. You have 3 tickets that you can use to play locked heroes. I'd highly recommend you try this on CPU battles so you get as much playtime as possible. It would really suck to play this in a ranked match if you have a bad spawn or teammates and you die right away before you get a chance to try it out. Being able to try locked characters is great because you know what your teammates are capable of doing and also what the enemy is capable of doing. After all, it's very hard to counter an enemy if you don't even know what quirks it has. The unfortunate thing is if you do CPU battle, it does use up tickets too, so just be aware of that. And luckily these tickets do regenerate after a couple of hours. Next, avoid fights early on. One of the most tilting things about this game is the queue time to start a game. For me on PC, starting a game takes a minimum of 5 minutes from waiting in the lobbies to get a team to starting the match. As a result, if you die very quickly, it feels like you've wasted your life. If you land near other people when you start the game, you should run and avoid engaging. It's also better to loot and deal with smaller groups where the chaos is more manageable. It's very hard to kill someone when there's 3 teams shooting at you at the same time. Now, some might think it's cowardly, but honestly this is a battle royale game and playing smart is the best long-term option. You also get more points to level up by staying alive, so it's definitely a good way to progress early on. The next tip is to learn to ping. Pinging is incredibly important, and I've found people rarely speak in team chat, and pinging is the fastest and most effective way to communicate, especially if you're in a public party. Pinging items is always great, and I always appreciate when people tell me where items are, especially the ones that need to level up my quirk. Pinging enemies is also a great way for giving your teammates a heads up so they can start focusing on that part of the map. I also like it when people ping where people want to go next, so we're not just wandering around aimlessly. All this communication comes down to helping out with the next tip, which is to be a good team player. This is a team game, and I do wish that this game had other modes where you could also solo, but as it is right now, you have to team up with people. So it's important that you follow each other around so you can watch your backs. Don't wander off on your own, especially if you're new. Also, KO stealing can be an annoyance to your team, so if your teammate did all the work to knock someone down and there's no threats around, don't steal the KO. That can be bad manners and annoy people. As you're playing, keep a mental note of what your teammates do that you love and hate so you can also act appropriately. Next is number 7, which is inventory management. Make sure your inventory is well organized. Try to get large backpacks to increase your inventory as needed. You never want it to be full, otherwise you may miss key items that drop in the heat of battle. After you pick things up, make sure you drop anything you don't need before joining a battle. If you're rapidly picking up the items, you often will get these quirk cards, and make sure you drop the ones you don't need, and if your teammates can benefit from them, make sure you drop them for them and ping them. Next, learn multiple characters. You can't all be the same character on a team. That is an unfortunate restriction. Learning 2 to 3 will ensure you always have an option, and ideally you have different styles, so not everyone is going assault. Certain styles also give bonuses to your team, so it's nice to have a variety. If you're only good with Bakugo, you might not get a chance to play him because so many people play him in lobbies. Sure, you could find another lobby, but I find sometimes that's a waste of time. You should also monitor tier lists to see what characters you're most likely to encounter, so you can either play as those powerful classes or learn how to counter them. Keeping track of balance changes is also important too, otherwise guides may be out of date. I'll put a link to the official patch notes in the description, so in the future you can visit that page to find out what has changed. Next, use terrain to your advantage. Don't be out in the open, and try to use walls or bushes to your advantage when consuming items. At the same time, you can often find weak enemies there during a match, so look for runaways there. Other examples is putting Dabby's traps in the bushes, since the low HP enemies might run in there and die. Next is quirk cooldowns. This comes with a lot of practice, and knowing how many shots you have left for a given quirk skill is very important. Don't be caught reloading during a key part of the fight. You need to conserve your skills as needed. You can also take advantage of the purple technical quirk you pick up that can give you a temporary quick reload. This will give you a big advantage over those who do not know about this, since you can reload faster to start blasting away at them. Next are mobility tricks. Running away is one of the most important skills in this game. When you're low on HP or being hit, you need to retreat. You need to know what are your class's best mobility options, and you can definitely find this out by watching other people play. You can also use the blue rapid quirk to run up walls, which you normally cannot. So this is a great ability to have in your hotkey to activate whenever you're in trouble. Next is hit recovery. Being knocked down is deadly, and if you're knocked in the air, definitely make sure you press the jump key to recover in the air. Normally, you also need to make sure your GP is maxed to ensure your character blocks and doesn't get flinched when being hit. That is why people always make sure their GP is full, because you're at a big disadvantage if you're not. Next is potion usage. There are different sized potions and they have different usage times. You might think that bigger is always better, but if you need a quick recovery, you need a smaller potion. Don't just dump the smaller ones thinking that they are useless. In the middle of a battle, you must recover quickly, so every second counts. Next, learn when to cancel. Roll lets you cancel out of drinking potions, finishing moves, or looting boxes. Sometimes you really need to run if people show up, and for these long actions, you should constantly be looking around to make sure no one's gonna sneak up on you to kill you. Next, know the loot box locations. Practicing in CPU battle helps you know where the loot boxes are and some of the drops. You don't want to be wandering around areas that have very little loot boxes, as you'll be at a big disadvantage. Next are finishing moves. Use this only if no one is around. As cool as it is to give them this fatality, only do this if no enemies are around. In general, using quirk skills is the safest way to KO a downed enemy. You can also use melee if you don't want to use your quirk. Next, know the zones. There are 7 zones on the map, each with unique terrain. I'll put a link to the Game Rant article in the description that highlights the advantages and disadvantages of each zone. Some places are better for long-range snipers like Deku or Bakugo, and some places are better for close-range melee characters. Next, learn to aim. You generally want to aim where you think people will be going next. People in this game often roll a ton, so you need to keep that in mind and aim ahead. Also, don't feel like you need to zoom in to aim all the time. I found in close range combat it's faster to just shoot and not aim, as you get that speed advantage. Next, don't leave early. You can cheer on your teammates to get more points, and your teammates can also revive you, so don't think you're totally out. For example, in this game, I was dead for quite a long time, but my teammates were able to revive me, and then I was able to assist them at the end to win the match. And finally, the most important thing is to have fun. You might not be the final team, but don't get upset. Just keep practicing. You definitely want a positive attitude while playing this and not get tilted. I like to mess around with off-meta heroes and just have some fun, so I'm not always try-harding with the best hero classes and getting upset when I don't get a good score. I hope you enjoyed these tips, and I hope you'll enjoy playing this game as much as I do. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe.